Hello everyone, and welcome. Before we start, we would of course like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we live, create, and learn on today, paying respects to elders past, present, and emerging. Had some slight technical issue there with intro, but it's all fine because we are here today with Anika Aggarwal. Hello, Anika. How are you doing today?
Hey Joanna, I'm doing good. How are you?
That's awesome. I'm doing grand. It is, of course, also International Women's Day. So happy International Women's Day. We'll talk about that a little bit more later on. But before we get into it, I just wanted to say hello to everyone in chat. Flynn, of course, who's taking care of us today. Gareth, Vikram, Randall, Steve, Bliss, Manny. Full house almost today. That's fantastic. Um, so today we are actually starting a bit of a new series here at Adobe Live APAC. It is called Let's Get Started, where we do a little bit more of an introductory entry-level look into the programs, apps that we know and love with the guests and creatives that we know and love. So pioneering and premiering this with us today is Anika, and without further ado, how about we get to know you a little bit? So let's look at your Instagram. Tell us about the work that you do.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for having me, Joe. It's awesome. I want to say hi to everyone in chat. Thank you so much for joining us. But if you haven't seen me before, over here on Behance, my name is Anika. I'm a graphic designer and illustrator based out of India. I do a lot of streaming myself. So if you go onto my Behance page, you will see like a live streams tab where you will see all sorts of streams for all levels. So there's beginners, there's intermediate, there's also a font stream somewhere. So yeah, you can take a look. There's also a lot of my work on here. So I usually typically post my design work on Behance, but if you go to my Instagram, you will be able to see my illustration. I kind of like the difference between Behance and Instagram that way, but also maybe not. I don't know. I'm not an expert at social media. I don't know. I'll give you that. But yeah, we do all kinds of stuff here. I work in Illustrator, Photoshop, mainly work with small businesses to make their visual identity, and I also do commission illustrations. So that's really fun for me. Lately, I've been focusing a lot of my time on my personal work and to establish more of my portfolio. And when I do that, I work on creating my own briefs, which is something we're going to cover today. We're going to talk about how to make your own brief and what brand identity is, how you can use logo design in to elevate the brand design, and also mock-ups for day two. So don't go anywhere.
Fantastic. I'm so excited to get some, as you would say, traditional graphic design or traditional design onto the stream, and couldn't imagine a better person than you, Anika, to take it through with us. And I'm just blown away also by how you're setting up your projects on Behance. Definitely really impressed, and I have a lot of notes to take, I'm sure, after this. But we are doing a brief today. We're doing a live brief of sorts, and it's a brief that you created yourself.
Yeah.
How about you take us through it?
Yeah, for sure. So we have this brief right over here. I designed it for a pizza brand because we all know and love food. And I thought, what better way to like design something for a pizza brand? I've always wanted to do like pizza packaging and stuff. So I decided to make a brand for myself. If you're a beginner in graphic design and you don't know how to build up your portfolio, it's a great way to actually have like your own briefs. And if you can't make one for yourself, you can actually go to websites. I do have one lined up, but I'll talk about that in a little bit. The story over here is that we're talking truly great pizza and pizza that you eat any way you want. And Ben is the guy who made up the pizzeria, and it's based out of New York City because that's the first city that came to my head.
Of course.
We're going to talk about using the local produce, which is also the brand value. And the brief over here is to create a visual identity. And when I say visual identity, it's not just logo design. And brand identity is not just you just making a logo for a client. It's using and leveraging the brand language to for the customers to constantly engage with your brand to then create like the feeling of the brand. So think your favorite brand of perfume and think how you feel about it. That's brand identity. And so the visual language here would be creating something warm, fun, and dynamic, incorporating the illustrations across the board to help convey the brand values. Some of the brand values that I have created over here are that it's local, we use homegrown produce, we don't let any produce go to waste. So we'll look at the local vendors in the city and grab their produce. We are authentic, we try to bring you the authentic pizza of Naples. And we're youthful in the sense that we are youthful to attack our target, not really, but the target audience, which are from the generations of 20s to mid 30s, and
Mm.
we prefer quality over quantity. I also want to say that it's a sophisticated brand, so you can sit in, but you can also order out, order in, order out, whatever the terms may be. And then we have some deliverables over here as well. I created these just as a guideline for me because this is a personal project. These are not hard and fast rules for myself. If I want, I can go all the way, but if I don't, that's fine too. So whenever you're creating something for yourself or your like portfolio, it's okay to like not fulfill everything that you've set
Mhm.
yourself out to, because you're really new to it. It's fine, you don't have the time, you don't have the patience for it yet. So it's totally fine if you just decide to do the first three. In this case, we will be covering the brand identity, some colors, typographic system, illustrations, and the packaging design, maybe some social media assets if we have time for it. So here we have some type inspiration. I am really inspired by Chutzpah design and pentagram's work. Paula
Yes.
Scher is my favorite. So I always try to make like a type-based logo. I don't know if that's a good thing necessarily, but I really love this vibe over here. It's more on the fun side, but we're gonna try to mix and match the fun and the sophisticated today. We have
Ooh.
some color inspiration over here, which is unusual. It's not how you would associate with a pizza brand. So maybe that's something we incorporate. We'll take a look at
Mm.
that. And yeah, let's just get started. If you want to connect with me later on after the stream, you can find me on Instagram at this handle, on Behance at be.net/ANIKAAGG, and even on YouTube. So that's
Fantastic.
pretty much it.
And Flynn will of course have those links in the chat as well. Pardon me as I adjust my chair. That is definitely not falling apart. But speaking of chat, also if you have any questions, I see that one has just come through, which I'll ask in a second. But if you have any questions, tune into our stream on behance.net/live. That's the chat that we'll be monitoring. It's the chat that I have up right here. And if you have any questions for Anika or myself as we go along, throw them in there and we will answer as many of them as we can. But as you said, let's get started.
Yeah, for sure. I do want to highlight this website. It's called goodbrief.io. It's the only one that I've used before. I know there's a lot of websites out there, but I can vouch for this one. You can go over here and check out. You can generate a brief if you can't create a brief yourself. You can go over here and click the type and also select like the industry you want. So maybe it's like an entertainment industry. You click on generate and you have all of these things. And there's also a handy dandy little export button. So you can export
Wow.
this and use it. So you can use it as a guideline and have a deadline because some people can't work well with deadlines. So this is
Mm.
like a great way to keep accountability in check. I always feel like that's a thing for some people, but I don't really know. But let's dive into Illustrator and talk about. I have the same mood board here almost. I do have some of the like similar ones, but I also have some colors here. So if you guys were paying attention, the brand values said that we are a sophisticated brand. So using something like this, some of these inspiration is from Behance, some of them is from Pinterest. So like it's a mix and match of everything. I typically go to Behance and look for like the area that I'm working in and find something that I want. And it's not like you're grabbing and copying everything that's on there. You're just using this as a starting point to see what you like. And since you want to be away from it and you want to be away from the market and create like a unique selling point of your own, you have something to reference to and not go back to that. It's essentially that, but at the same time also see what's going on elsewhere. Like for instance, there are some illustrations here. You might reference that to make it fun. I don't know,
Mm.
that's just how it goes. All right, so if we look here, these colors are essentially like I associate them with pizza because we have red for the sauce and green for the leaves and this for the
Mhm.
trees, I guess. So I decided to like make a color palette derived out of this. Some of these colors are derived from this, and I changed them to like be in gamut. When I
Mhm.
say that, I mean that these colors, if I double click on this, also, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention this, but if you're watching my screen right over here, you will see all the keystrokes that I press. So it's typically very handy if I'm using any shortcuts, but if you guys feel like I'm not covering any shortcuts, you can always ask me. And I also have a cursor annotate, so you know where I am on the screen. So we have this color right here, and it's in gamut. Some, let's say I make this something like this, and you get this exclamation point. It's an out of gamut warning, and it's typically recommended to have this inside the color gamut. And I'll cover more of that tomorrow.
Mhm.
And basically, I have this color palette as one, and then I saw this guy over here, and I was like, oh, this is unusual for a pizza brand. What?
Mm.
I've never seen them use something like this. And this was more for a sit in kind of place. So I decided to make like a color palette which is derived off of it in the sense that it's more sophisticated. So we
Mm.
have gold, of course, which is definitely
Of
for
course.
associated with elegance and sophistication. So it's kind of a muted gold because I didn't want to be like something like this. That would have been a lot.
Mm.
Nope. I do have shades of green over here as well, and some of these colors. I was initially trying to go with like a purple and a pink, but I did not go for
Mm.
it. Anyway,
Interesting.
so whenever you're designing a new brand for your maybe it's a client work or even like a passion project, I would recommend doing a lot of sketches. I do have some over here. I typically do about 30, 40 sketches before I dive into it. But since this was time constrained, I decided to make a few. Since I was going for a very fun look initially, I thought a scripty logo would be fun, to have like a
Mhm.
script logo to convey that we're fun, we're dynamic, we care about you, and we are just like you. We're people just like you. So this was what I created initially. I had some ideas for wayfinding, and some illustrations. So these are some illustrations that I created because I want, while we're sophisticated, I also want to convey that you can eat pizza any way you like. So you can eat it like this, you can fold it up and eat it, you can spin it around, because if that's your boat, no, that's just a chef. Or you can use cutlery for it. There's all kinds of people eating pizza, and I just want to, as a brand, Ben just wants to let the world know that even though this is a sit in place and we say it's sophisticated and we give you the quality experience with artisan Napolitan pizzas,
Mhm.
um, you can eat it however you want, and there's no judgment here. So I want to convey that with my brand, and considering that I'm using colors that are gonna scream sophistication, I do want to add this fun dynamic with illustrations. So yeah, we do that here. And without further ado, let's just dive into fonts, I guess. Let's do it.
Fantastic. Before you do, I do have a fantastic question from Rob here. So,
Mhm.
the question is, do you ever request a client give you the brief, or do you work together with them? Uh, Actually, no. Let me say that again because I think I said it wrong. Do you ever request a client give you the brief, or or to rather work with you to create one? Rob, I am. um Sorry for butchering your question, but I hope it got through in the end. What do you think, Anika?
It's a mix of both. It really depends on the client I'm working with. So if it's someone who's really new to the branding world and they are a startup, they typically don't have like a very well set out creative brief, and you have to guide them through it. But if someone, like, let's say it's a redesign, they already have everything set up. You just have to reassess some things.
Mm.
So yeah, it's a mix of both, but it's definitely better as a designer to have a creative brief as a sense of direction, because it kind of sways you away from the unpleasantness that you might have when the design's finalized. You don't want that. You don't want to recreate everything.
No, absolutely not. And I think it's just as great getting started into creating brand identities as it is, many years down the line, because it does give you the parameters to work with. So okay, these are my sort of rules, and this is how I will maybe step out of the rules a little bit, do something
Yeah,
different, and just make sure that you work smart, and be a bit of a
absolutely.
guide to you along the way. I also just want to say a quick hello to, let's scroll up because we have some new people in the chat as well. So hello, Jack, and Rob, of course, with your question. And we also have Hayden as well, and Michael. Wonderful to see
Hey.
you all. We are here, of course, with Anika, doing graphic design, doing branding. It's pizza time. It's International Women's Day. It's a wonderful, wonderful time here. So glad to have you all here with us.
Yeah, I am just trying to make a few versions of the type that I want. So I have like some fun ones here. Let me delete this. So whenever we think like sans serif fonts, we think about like very classic sans serif fonts. But when
Mm.
we talk about sophistication, we always tend to lean towards like serif fonts. I don't know if you've ever seen, but maybe like a luxury perfume brand, it's always like a serif font that they use.
Mm.
While I want this brand to be sophisticated, I also want it to be fun and dynamic. So I think I'm gonna go with like the sans serif this kind of route. But if I was creating like a scripty font sort of situation, I would have used something like this. Wait, what's happening? Oh, what? What? What are you doing, Illustrator?
And
Oh,
this
that's
is how we know it's live, folks.
always. It always happens when you're live.
Always. There's at least something. One thing every
Yeah.
time.
Right. So this is, I think this is an Adobe font. Yeah, there's a cloud next to it. So if you're in Illustrator and if you've never used Illustrator, this is a fun way to get fonts. If you have a CC subscription, you can just go to type over here and you can click here and you can just keep this over here. And if you are in the workspace Essentials Classic, which is what I am in, you will see this control bar right here and you can change like the fonts that you have in your system. And if you see like a cloud with like a tick mark on the side, it is basically a cloud font that you've activated. But you can honestly go over here and filter it out. So you can check filters, you can make like a sans serif font. Maybe I want something like this, and it'll give you like a display. But if you don't have anything activated, you can also go to find more over here, which is very handy, I think. It takes a little bit to initialize, but it fetches you fonts from the web, which
Mhm.
is essentially over here. So if you go to fonts.adobe.com, you can browse all the fonts. They've done a lot of recent rebranding. So you
Mm.
will see like very fun fonts here. So I just say Benz. You will see a lot of them. So as you can see, I have activated a lot of them already. I am a font holder. So yep.
Guilty as charged. I cannot relate more.
Yeah.
I am of the color palette variety. I love to make
Yeah.
them, and yeah, it's so soothing. It's great. So I understand
Yeah.
your struggle.
Yeah, I think like I will have some secondary text here as well. So I did like choose some of these already. I kind of like this, but I'm not sure how this will pair up with like the font that I pick.
Hmm.
Oh, that is big. I don't want that. I don't want that. And maybe I go something like this. I'm not sure. Maybe
Hmm.
let's see. This is one pairing. I do have this other one. It's called Merlot, or however you pronounce it. It's an open type font, so you won't find this on Google Fonts. But I
Mhm.
believe this is a Creative Market font.
Hmm.
Wait, did I say? Yeah. Okay, okay. We're
You're
good.
good. You're good.
We're good. So this is one pairing. I quite like this in the sense that it
Yeah.
is condensed, but it also is sort of sophisticated in the sense. You will
Mm.
see once we go into color, you definitely go black and white when you're designing a logo for the first time. Essentially, if I'm gonna use something from this, which is not for today because this is very time consuming. So
Mm.
I'm just going the easy route and picking a font and trying to mess with it a little to like create a logo.
Mm.
Don't forget to look at licenses before you do that because some fonts don't allow to like modify the fonts.
Yes, very
Um,
important.
so make sure to do that. This is not what I wanted. So let's see what we have.
It's
We
all
have this
good.
guy right here.
Um, and again, everyone tuning in, if you have any questions about fonts, your favorites, whether I see we had a mini discussion about whether pineapple goes on pizza.
What? No.
Yes, it does.
That's
Um,
just wrong.
Anyway, we will move past this. But if you have any other design or not design related questions for us today, feel free to throw them in the chat, and we will get to them as we can. Now, Anika, do you think you could zoom in just slightly? I know that I'm
Hmm.
watching this on a smaller screen,
Yeah,
just
for
from
sure.
the back end side of things, but for everyone else, just in case, let's zoom in a bit. Excellent.
I just went to like warp. I just applied like an effect to it, so I'm gonna delete that and
Mm.
show it to you again. This is like a font that I'm using. I'm just pairing like a sans serif with like a very funky. This has like a star inside it, which is kind of fun.
It is
Um,
funky.
yeah, so like this, I'm trying to convey that this is like we are very fun and we're still sophisticated. So it's not necessarily the typeface that I'm using, which is sans serif and it's gonna scream elegance, but like
Mm.
the colors that we use.
Mm.
So for doing that, I just went to effect, warp, and applied whatever I wanted. So I experimented with like the style. So we have arc here, we have arc lower, there's a preview, live preview that you see if you check this button,
Mhm.
and you can go over here and check it out for yourself. There's a lot of options here, and you can use it to modify as per your needs. For today's purposes, I'm just going to twist it just a little bit because I want to convey that, hey, they're fun, but they're also sophisticated. So it's like a mess of both. It's chaos over here. No, it's not. So I'm gonna make it like a little bit, just a little bit. So it's just 7%. It's there, but not really. So if I
Mhm.
just put them next to each other, hold on, let's grab that, and I'm gonna get this here.
Mhm.
If
A
you put
subtle
these
little
next,
shimmy.
yeah, just a little, right? So I think I'm gonna go with this one and maybe like decrease the size of this just to match and make it flush with like the size of the
Mm.
font that I have picked. It's always good practice and like makes it look more aesthetic visually, and I feel like that's something that I want to cover. All
Mm.
right. This is the golden circle and the golden ratio. So it's it's very debatable. Sometimes people think that. So when I was starting out, I always thought that I always have to use the golden circle, and it's always the
Mm.
thing. But you don't always have to do it. It's always great to use it in your composition some way. Like if you've ever seen the logo for Twitter or if you've ever seen the Apple logo, both of them employ the golden circle. But it's not always necessary to use it. While I recommend that you do use it, it's okay even if you don't. So
Mm.
yeah, don't sweat over it. Like it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah,
Don't be so
it's
hard on yourself.
yeah, just take it
That's
easy.
like yeah, that's like my one takeaway for today. Like if you're just starting out, it's all right as long as you're working to like grow yourself and upskill
Mhm.
yourself every single day and learning something. It's all right. It's all right. Everything on its own time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's worth noting too also that you figure out and find out the rules so that you can break them, and you find um, the
Absolutely.
fundamentals and everything like that, and then you get to have fun. I mean, not then
Yeah.
you get to have fun, but then you can, in an informed way, create chaos,
For sure.
and
Yeah.
that's fun.
Yeah. Joanna was like, let me just say not have fun. It's not fun.
No, not at all. I'm all about the fun times. Anyone will tell you that.
Oh,
Um,
hey, I'm gonna ask these people.
but speaking of fun, the chat is having a fun time, just saying hi to so many new people. Love to see it.
Nice.
It seems that you are not alone, Anika. We have, let's see, Rob has over 5,500 fonts,
Oh my
um,
god,
which
that's a lot.
is large, but wait, there's more. RB, also a friend of the stream, might have in excess 13,000.
Wow, you guys beat me. I thought I was the one who's holding phones, but no, I'm not.
Yeah,
Clearly.
it's glad good to know that that other people know the struggle and are even
Yeah.
more invested.
Yeah. I'm just gonna talk through my process and what I'm doing. So I'm essentially just creating a rectangle. So I'm gonna do it again just so you can see. So I have like M is a shortcut for rectangle, but if you can't see it, there's like I don't know if you can see it. There's like rectangle tool, rounded ellipse, and all of these shapes over
Mm,
here. So I can select that and constrain it by holding shift. And I make a perfect square. I get this and I'm gonna copy it by clicking option and holding it and dragging. Holding shift again just to align it next to each other. And I'm gonna grab the color, which is white over here, and then I'm gonna go over here and grab the little fun thing that we created. So let's get I'll
fantastic.
actually size it up a little. Um, and then we're gonna paste this over here. So
And
as
I
you can see, you
noticed
can't.
too that when you've done the little shimmy on the lettering, that is preserving the original
Yeah,
typeface as well, and that's great that you can
yeah.
work non-destructively. And of course, if you're doing that treatment to a slogan or whatever, and the slogan changes, it is
Hmm.
great that you can just retype the sentence of the slogan, and you don't have to redesign every single word
Oh yeah, for
again.
sure. So the slogan that I chose is "Where dough matters" because we care about what we give to you. So I'm yet
Love
to
it.
make that and
Chef's
incorporate that
kiss.
into the branding. But yeah, I just decided to like choose that because that's something because the target audience is like mid 20s to like late 30s. I want to target their fun and witty and dynamic nature, which is increasingly
Mm,
what we've been seeing with branding these days. So it's always something like I would definitely go to a place where they say that where dough matters. I
yes.
definitely want to see what's good with their dough.
Hmm.
Like,
It's like, Doe, what's up?
yeah, right.
Let's get to know each other. Um,
Yeah. And to your point about like preserving the effect. So as you can
mhm.
see in my properties panel right here, there's a warp twist that I applied. I can still edit the effect. It's still live. It's always good practice to keep this on the side as an extra. So I do have like one preserved right over here. This is
Mm,
the original. But if I wanted, I can just go over and expand everything. Before you hand over the files to the client or for printing, it is always good practice to go to type and create outlines because
yes.
that way you ensure that even if like your client or the printer does not have the font that you have, you can still be like you can still print it. Otherwise, it's just going to appear with like a pink line outside it.
Yeah,
As you can
otherwise you're in
see,
trouble.
yeah. As you can see, this one still has like effects on it and it's still live. I can still go ahead and like change the effects. If I really wanted to be destructive about it or I'm just handing it over, I can just click on expand appearance and now it's just shapes. So I can just like use the direct selection tool perhaps and go to A and like move it around.
Oh,
Obviously, I'm not doing that. That's messed up for now. But if I was going for a very fun little theme over here, I could just select these two and round it up a little, just a
mm.
little, right? That could be something. Actually, I like this.
Yeah, that does look very nice.
Yeah, I do like this. Okay, so maybe I want to do it just a little bit.
And
So,
while you do that, it's just pointing out again that this is where it's important to make sure that you know that you have the correct licensing for the fonts as well. Because if you do
yep,
end up modifying them and using them in
yep,
commercial or in some cases even personal work, um,
yep,
you might get in trouble. So always
yeah,
check licensing and copyright.
for sure. Yeah, that's always a great point to mention. So we have these two over here. I want to make some colors now, so let's just go ahead and add some color. And now everything is gonna come to life. So hey.
Oh,
So
fantastic.
I'm going to use these as my primary colors and these are my secondary colors. Maybe I'll just like make a mix of these two. Let's see. We'll see how it goes. Let me
Mm.
just make like a few copies of these over here first.
And before we go into this next step of
Mhm.
color, we did have a great question from Elise. Where did you get the golden circle from? I'm familiar with the golden ratio and Fibonacci
Um,
sequence, but the golden
yeah,
circle not too
so
much.
there's a way to create the golden circle, the golden spiral. Actually, you can look it
Hmm.
up, but it's essentially having knowing the ratios and then like doubling it up. So if I have like a square right over here, I can Command C, Command F it to place paste in place, and then like double the size of the make it a rectangle. I think it's doubling the size of the. I'm just doing it by eye right now, but you can
Hmm.
obviously go in and do it with the maths built in Illustrator. But you do that on and on and on for like 5 or 6 times, and then you
Hmm.
find like a spiral. Those spirals and the squares that fit into those rectangles and squares. Wait, what? The circles,
The
the
circles.
circles that fit into those squares are essentially what come down to be like this golden circle. I had one created
Oh, I see.
already. I think I can bring it up in a second. Give me a second, and I
No
will try to bring it
worries.
up.
While you do that, just wanted to say hello to Wade as well in the chat. And yes, Wade, the Ben's Pizzeria and Bar does have a slogan, and it is um,
Where do matters.
exactly where dough matters.
Yeah. So this is what I was talking about. This is the golden ratio, and you can read about it at 99 Designs. If you have been here on Adobe Live before, I was on the Adobe Live US and like somewhere last year. So I did talk about that a little bit more. Self plug, sorry, shameless promo.
No, not shameless at all.
um but you can go ahead and check that out. I talk about this in detail. We do have like this square which I started from, and then you replicate it, and then you go
Mm,
here, double the size, then you go here, increase the size to match these two, then you go here, copy this and increase the size to like fit this width of the rectangle, and then you go ahead and do the same for this. So you have like 1 2 3 4 5 6, and then this is the ratio that there is for the Fibonacci sequence. And
yeah,
if you can see, this is essentially how the spiral
yeah.
goes, and these are the circles that fit inside the thing. So if I quickly want to show here what and actually if you go see my stream, I have this template up for grabs, so you can still grab it.
Fantastic. Well, I'm gonna do a heads up to Flynn, maybe if you're able to go find that stream so we can post it
It is
in
on
the
my
chat.
Behance profile if that's easier to find.
Fantastic.
So what I did was I copied this guy and brought it over, and I just have the circles now, right? I have them selected. So I'm gonna go to my align panel right here and center align them. And as you can see, they're now center aligned vertically. But if I do horizontal align, hey, you get the same thing. I was just
There
talking
you
about
go.
that. So
Fantastic.
you can use this in your compositions when you're laying out stuff. I know Rob in the chat uses InDesign a lot, so maybe
Mhm.
you can grab tips from Rob.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so that's I typically haven't used it. I thought I was going to use it for like spacing between the primary text and the secondary text, but I feel like this seems all right. I may
Hmm.
go back and tweak it based on the size of the glyph that I have here, and then decrease it down 1/3 and see how that looks. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Fantastic. And also a heads up to us both that we are beyond the halfway mark.
Hmm.
I believe. Unfortunately, time does go by quickly when you're live and having so much fun as we are. Um, so let's press on.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so now I'm just making some color variations here. I am in a group, so like it's hard for you to not color both of these.
Mm,
So what you can do in Illustrator is you can double click on this guy and then just go into isolation mode. If you look over here closely, you have like logo design, and then this is a group. This is the outer group that we're in, and this is the group that we're working in right now, which is just this guy. And then I can go up here and use my eyedropper tool, which is I for shortcut, and then you can grab any color you want. So maybe I want like the red with it. I actually don't like that. Maybe I want the green with it. Yeah, and then obviously this is obviously very hard to read because the
mm,
cream and the white are too close. So let's change that. Let's actually change that to hmm, interesting. Let's actually change this. Oh, don't click too many times.
too many clicks.
Too
Um,
many clicks.
but since we are over the halfway mark as well, I just want to let chat know if you have any questions for us about color, about doing layout of typography for a wordmark logo,
Yep.
feel free to ask us, and we'll do our best to answer.
Yeah, so I have some colors here, and for accessibility, if you're really new, it's really important to have like the wow, that's weird. It's really important to have like color blindness check.
Mm-hmm.
So there are two inbuilt things in Illustrator where you can check for color blindness. There's protanopia type, and deuteranopia type. So if you click on this guy, you will see that you can still read these
Mm.
logos with those colors. I zoom out just to see how it's gonna scale. it's very important for your logo to scale down as much as you want. Obviously, working in Illustrator, so it's going to scale up very well because it's vectors. And if you don't know what vectors are scalable graphics, and they don't break up just like raster images would if you scale them up and put them on a billboard. But if you scale them down, you still see that you can still see bends and you can still read it, which is a great thing. So it's always fun to check these. And then there's another one, which is this guy, and this is also legible. So hey, my colors work
Fantastic.
well.
Brilliant.
And then I'm gonna go to my internet RGB. All right. I feel like this looks kind of all right.
Mhm.
And I do wanna maybe check upon the illustrations that I have. So yeah, let's go ahead to the illustrations bit. Actually,
Yeah.
before that, let's actually bring these guys over here.
And is
And
this now a these artboards, are they part, would you wow, there we go. Are these artboards part of what you would use as the sort of the final or work in progress client presentation
yep,
um,
yep.
exports? Right. Hmm.
Yeah. I try to like bring a mix and match of everything. So if I go to my artboards panel right here, I have these named already. So this is like the full lockup. We have the color variations for 6 and 7, and then we have pattern background logo, image with illustration, pattern, horizontal lockup, and all of the fun stuff. So
Fantastic.
I try to like keep everything named. Name your layers. Don't forget. And
Name your
also another
layers.
yeah, for sure. Pen Marriott.
Yes.
Um, I am gonna create a vertical lockup as well, because maybe it's like a vertical board that I have outside the cafe. I don't know,
Hmm.
the pizzeria. So I'm gonna ungroup this guy over here really quick, and then grab these guys and align it. So I'm just going to do this by eye right now, but we're gonna use the align panel to make them perfect. So we bring them here.
Fantastic. And speaking of accessibility, which I think is really important in design, and it's great that you're integrating it sort of into the process as opposed to, okay, now everything's done, let's see how we
Yep.
make it accessible. Do you have any tips for people either new to creating brand identities, or even those who've been doing it for a
Um,
while? Sort of what
yeah.
are top tips for accessibility in brand design?
For sure. So if you guys have never used like Adobe Color before, it's a great way to actually get colors that are already working. So you can go to color. Where am I on there? Oh, I'm not. So you can go to color.adobe.com, and you can create your own color palettes. You can actually extract themes from like an image that you like. So
Mm-hmm.
perhaps you like an image, for instance, I don't know if I have an example of an image. Let me see real quick. 1 second.
Yeah, I will say that Adobe Color is one of my favorite websites. I'm in there a lot, just creating my little palettes.
Yeah.
It's what they call a mindfulness
Yep.
activity for me. It's really really fun, and
Yeah.
that's how you end up with what feels like trillions and trillions of color palettes.
For sure. So we have this over here, which is an illustration, and I have these colors that are automatically picked. Because I am extracting by mood, which is colorful, I can go with bright, and it kind of changes because the colors and the shades on this illustration are not a lot. It doesn't
Mm,
really vary anything, but you can go to your color wheel and change these colors. And there's also a new accessibility tool that you see over here, which is obviously not
fantastic.
working for these tools. But
No.
if I go over here and I copy this, these are actually the colors. These are the default colors that were visible.
Um,
But if I go here and copy this guy and paste it here, how do you check it? Check. Oh, it works. Oh, I messed it up. I messed it up.
it's
One
okay.
sec. um, where are you? Yeah, so you see that the contrast ratio works. It is high contrast, even with like regular text, large text, and graphic components. And it says
Mm,
it's passing for all of these. It's really great to check your contrast. And you can also check the color blindness over here. And there are no conflicts with this illustration that I have. So I can mix and match it over here, maybe something like this, and maybe then it'll not be in
yeah, that's a
like
bit
it is in
challenging.
conflict because these
Mm,
colors are too close. And if I just bring it away from each other again, there's still no conflicts. That means these work for color blindness. And if I go to contrast, you can still check it for like the background that you're using. um, and the text that you're using. So actually, let me go and check it for something because I feel like I do doubt if this will work together. But
Hmm.
let me just check that. It feels like a little bit of a less contrast, but it's always great to check. Let's see if it
Yes,
works.
always good to double check. And
Yeah,
I do think we will have time for a little bit of brand illustration because you did
does
mention
not
at the
work.
top, and I think um, it was a great note that brand identity is not just about the logo; it's about how it all feels, how it all comes together, and it can be represented so through
That's so
the
weird.
different aspects of the brand. I see. Are these colors not
Wait, I
playing
put it the
nice?
wrong. I put it the wrong way. I put the
Ah,
background to be the lighter.
I see.
It should ideally be. It does not work, which is weird to me. Oh no. But yeah, you can go ahead and like decrease, like darken the background color and
Hmm.
increase the brightness for this. As I decrease it down, you see that it's not visible.
Yeah.
But if I turn it up just a little, it's passing for the large text, but not for the regular text, which means you have to increase the brightness up a little bit more. As I go on to bring it over here, it seems to work. So
Hmm.
I'm gonna copy these colors and just replace that and see how that looks
Excellent.
and do this as well. So we'll see if I'm incorporating these colors in the end or not, since like everything is not working. I'm not gonna go do that for every single thing right now, but
Mhm.
definitely you see that I'm gonna actually make like a copy of the older one so that we have the things that we changed right over here so that you guys can see. I did doubt that, and which is why I actually checked it in the first place.
Mhm.
So as you can see, this doesn't have as much
Mm.
legibility as this guy because it's bright and right in the face. So yeah, definitely a good call to check where you're going with stuff. And
Absolutely.
talking about illustrations, hold on, let me just finish this up real quick.
Yes. And while you finish that, I'll make a note too. Um, that checking this is great, and with how bright the colors were as well. And it's also
Yep.
important to make sure that you check in terms of whether it's going to be only for digital or only for
Yep.
print, because the colors, of course, when printed, will look different
Change.
as well.
Yep. Yep. Always a good thing. Oh, I forgot to group those. Um, so I'm gonna go here and align it, and then I'm gonna bring it here. Just make the same. Oh, make the same. I don't know if about you guys, but I have this pet peeve that whenever I go to select the selection tool on the keyboard, which is V,
Hmm.
I accidentally press B on the keyboard, and it kind of makes
Oh
like
yes,
like points everywhere. It's just really annoying. It's annoying. I hate it. It's my pet
I do it all
peeve.
the time. It's just like, oh no, one key to the left or
Didn't want
one
to do
key to the
that. Yeah, this certainly works better. I
right.
like this. Okay,
Yeah,
let's
it
go
was
with
good.
this.
Good that we double checked.
Yeah, always good. I am gonna include this one over here as well, and go here. Okay, so we have three colors here, and now I'm gonna go to my illustrations. So this is typically not how I work. This is super fast, but
Hmm.
just to show you how it works, for showing the clients, I may just I talked about like sketches first. I will not ever show the clients all of my sketches
Hmm.
because sometimes the clients cannot find what's good for them, and it makes it really confusing for them to find which one they really really like, because these are
Hmm.
concepts that may or may not be very familiar to you or to them, like to explain it to them. So it's really preferred to choose like two out of these. Let's say I pick this guy and just show how those work in terms of my brand ethos. But in this case, I'm just making one, and we're going to make mock-ups to make it look like the application for it.
Yeah.
So typically how I work with like illustrations is I bring them in Illustrator. I made these in Fresco. If you guys have never heard of the app, it's a free app that you can use on your iPad and also your Windows device. So you can use that and use it with the Apple Pencil to create whatever you want. It's just like scribbling on a piece of paper. I did that and I brought it in Illustrator. I brought down the opacity to about 50% and I locked this guy up. And then I went on with my pen tool. I also use the iPad for some of these, but I went on to create this guy. So these are not the essential strokes that you create with a pen tool. I can show you
Hmm.
how that looks. Maybe something like this. We have this guy, which is not the best shape, but for now it's fine. And then you can go to your brushes panel and bring in all the brushes. These are all the default brushes that are available. I can go on and select like artistic calligraphy brushes, and I can change the stroke that we have. So maybe I change it to this guy. And this is essentially what I did. I picked one of these to
Good.
grab this shape in the end. So yeah, that's how I did that.
Fantastic.
And yeah, so I typically start with like a grayscale illustration because that just helps me find what's really important and delete the
Mm,
things that don't necessarily matter. So I went on to I did a little bit of hard work on the back end. So I made the color variations of these, which looks like this. So ta-da!
wow.
We created this all from scratch in this stream. If you weren't here, watch the replay. No, I'm
Yeah,
kidding.
yeah, absolutely. No, this is a classic. Here's something I prepared earlier.
Yeah. Yeah,
Segment, of
so
course.
yeah, so I want to bring these in. Of course, I will have to go and change this gold color that I
Mm,
chose. Wow, English is words are hard. Um, but I'm gonna paste it here right now and just like work on this a little bit on my own time later. I don't know if you guys have any questions, but yeah, we're happy to answer any questions that you might have. Also, now
yeah.
that we are here, I want to make like business cards really quick as well. So
Hmm.
typical size is 3.5 by 2.5 inches. I am gonna try to um I wrote px after that. So within Illustrator, even if you are in pixels, you can actually go ahead and write whatever you want, and Illustrator is
Mm,
going to convert
yeah,
it on the fly. So even
yeah,
if your document is in pixels, you can just go ahead and convert it into inches. So I'm going to scale it
fantastic.
up just for legibility. um get this color. Right, maybe I'll just make it somewhere else. Hold on. Over
Just
here.
a heads up though that we have about 10 minutes left.
Awesome.
And we do have a question.
Hmm.
So if you'd like, we can take a quick pause on the business card and just answer this question real quick because it did speak to what we were just talking about, which is how many different ideas do you usually give clients for logo designs? So this obviously today we're only working on one concept,
Hmm.
but usually for client briefs, do you give them just one ideal, one or two, two to three? How do you usually go about
um yeah, it really depends on the client that I'm working with because I have like this contract that I have, which has 2 to 3 versions, like concepts that I present initially, and then revisions on that. But I prefer to go with like 2 to 3 at the max because it helps like with finding the right fit for the brand. When it comes to like, it can be a little confusing both for the designer and the client because then you don't know what the expectation is,
it?
and it really helps gauge. Like I would work on 10 million concepts, but only show you one. So
Yes.
that's always a thing.
And of course, it's always the case where you include one that, yeah, maybe it's okay, it's fine. But it's kind of like, oh well, I feel I have to show them three, so I'll just include this one. And of course, it's always going to be the one that the client picks.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to note that whatever you present to the client could be what they want to pursue. So make sure that you always
Absolutely.
present them stuff that um, you would be happy to continue working on.
Oh yeah. It's like one of those things when you like only create the work that you would want in your portfolio. Like only
Mm,
put the work in your portfolio that you would want to create
yes.
professionally, because your client will come looking for the work that you don't want to create.
Yes,
They'll be
absolutely.
like, "Hey, can you do this for me?" And I'm like, "No,
It's like, no, thank
no,
you. But I have this
maybe
other
not."
friend of mine that can do it for you. So how about talk to them instead?
Yeah, actually, that's a great thing. If you are, actually, thank you for bringing that up. If you are busy and you feel like you can't work through some of the things that are happening, like you get a lot of clients and you can't work through them, you can always send them to your friends. That's always a good practice.
Absolutely. It's something that I love to see it when it happens, and something that I definitely try to employ myself. I have a little bit of a list of like, okay, for graphic design, I have this person and this person.
Yeah.
Um, because sometimes you are just too busy or the brief
Hmm.
isn't quite a fit for you.
Yeah.
And it always is nice to say, well, how about I can't do this, but how about this other person that I vouch for? So it expands their network of quality designers and creatives that they know. And of
Yeah,
course, passing it on means that your friends can pass it along back to you as well in the long run.
for sure. Yeah, it's always a good thing. It's always a good thing. So now I'm just
Absolutely.
trying to incorporate like the illustrations in the business card.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we have this guy, and then I'm just gonna make a mask. So I control Command C if you're on a Mac, Control C if you're on Windows, and you can also paste it on top. But pressing Command V pastes it anywhere. I'm gonna press Command F to paste it in place, and then press Command 7, which is basically just a clipping mask. So it looks like that. Maybe I incorporate this guy over here. I'm not sure. I'm trying to look at chat if they have any suggestions. But yeah, let me know if you guys have any suggestions. I'm happy to incorporate them as well.
Yeah, let us know in any absolute last minute questions because we have about 4 minutes left.
Oh
Um,
no.
I know it goes fast.
Time. What is time?
What is time indeed? But of course, will we be? See now I can't English. We will be back in 48 hours or just about on Thursday to continue with part 2 of this, and that's going to be all about creating mock-ups, and maybe we'll do a quick review of what we've done today and any amendments that you make in that in between time, but to make
Yeah.
sure that we don't get cut off or run out of time.
Mhm.
Do you just want to tell the good people of the chat where they can find you and your work on the internet?
Yeah, you guys can reach out to me on Instagram or Behance. You know where to find me. It's be.net/ANIKAAGG. That's for Behance, and it's the same handle on Instagram as well. I'm just trying to quickly make these before we run out of time because I really
Yes,
want to
this is the speed run.
showcase. Yeah, it's a speed run,
Gotta go
definitely.
fast.
Yeah, for sure. I'm like, oh, let's talk, but I want to do this.
No, of course, the design comes first.
Oh no, I'm kidding. I can do both. I can
Yes,
do
we can
can do
both.
both.
Both is good.
Both is
Um,
good.
no, but it has been an absolute delight having you on. I'm
Yeah.
really excited, and also now suddenly very hungry. For part 2 later this week. And of course, if you have any questions that we didn't get to today, remember them and keep them in your pocket till Thursday, and we'll hopefully answer them all. Then I will just say again that yes, pineapple does belong on pizza. It belongs in the Hawaiian pizza. I can't say that it
Nope.
belongs in all pizzas, but Hawaiian might be my favorite kind of pizza at the moment. So I will stand by this and
Oh no.
will not be
Don't
taking
worry, you
questions at
guys,
this
all the non-pineapple lovers, I'll
time.
sway Joanna for next time. Don't worry.
No, I
I
think
got your
Chad
back.
agrees
I
with
got
me.
you. I
I
got you,
was
Chad.
hoping. Yeah, I think Chad agrees. Chad is on my
Chad
side
agrees?
today. Yeah,
Oh. Do you
Chad
guys like the
does.
savory and the sweet combination? Then maybe that's it. Maybe that's
It
it,
is.
right?
Yeah, it is the sweet and the savory for me as well.
Um Yeah, so for these business cards, I will add information over here later on, but this
Hmm.
is like how they're gonna look. So this can be like the back of it, or like these can be two variations, and this will be like the logo on the front. And you can choose as per what you want. Maybe we can color code to like, hey, the green ones are for the chefs. Hey, this is one
Mm.
for the top tier, and this is one for like managers. I don't know. I don't know. We'll think about it.
I'll think about
So
it.
just like a brief run through of what we did. We talked about our brief, which is I haven't closed it. Yeah, there you go. So we talked a little bit about how to create your brief. If you go ahead and watch the replay, you will find everything that I talk about in detail. We talked about the story, the brief, the brand attributes, the target audience, deliverables, the inspiration for the brand. And then we dived into Illustrator and checked out what the mood board was, what the colors were. We talked about the sketches and how we can use that as a starting off point to use like fonts and zero in on the font that we actually like. We went ahead with this one. It is fairly simple, but we did apply an effect to it to make it look a little bit fun. We also talk about the golden ratio and the golden circle. You can check that out as well. There is the logo variations for the monochrome colors. So we have black on white and white on black, which is always handy. Always check your logos for black and white first and then dive into color. We have some color variations here. We checked for color contrast on Adobe
I'm
Color, which
so
is a good
sorry,
thing for
Anika.
us.
I will have to cut you off, but we did get through it.
No
It's been
worries
a
at all.
wonderful
Yeah.
time. Thank you everyone for joining us, and we will be back on Thursday. Goodness me. Have a great one, everyone. See ya.
Bye, everyone.